So now I'd like to take a look at a whiteboard that kind of outlines the current state of SAN inside of the data center, as well as the potential opportunities for convergence in the way we approach administration. See, regardless of who we're serving from a technical perspective, whether it's networking, storage, or compute, all administration serves one master at the end of the day, and that's the end user. And the end user is going to consume resources inside of our data center. And that's going to include compute, storage, and networking resources. We remember that on the compute administration side, we have our good friend Bob. And Bob has domain over the vSphere infrastructure. And Bob's been keeping that up to date, and that's been advancing very rapidly over the past few years. However, because of the silo approach that we have with administration, it's very bicameral. Bob is not always in tune with what's happening back on the storage side. In fact, if we look at the storage side, that's been changing dramatically. You've got the paradigms of old storage, where maybe you have different hardware vendors, some where there have been large purchase cycles, others where they've only purchased a small amount of storage, and maybe in some cases only purchased just flash storage from specific vendors. And then we've had newer adoptions where administrators have tried to start aggregating this storage and bring it all together and even integrate virtualized storage front ends to make sense out of all of the legacy stuff in the back. And where Bob was administrating everything on the front end, we had Fred administrating everything on the back end. This is great right up until the end user is really no longer a user. Maybe that end user, instead of just requesting machines, is an entire department or an entire corporate initiative requesting whole new sets of deployments and whole new types of scale. Now, instead of just dealing with piecemeal, one machine at a time as needed, we're now seeing cloud scale grow that's requiring us to deal with multi-machine provisioning, tens, maybe even thousands of machines at any given time. This means that the interaction between Bob and Fred is changing. It's no longer enough to have this bottom-up approach where you create and you consume and then you rinse and repeat. This now has to be dynamic. It has to be based upon policy, who this end user is. And it has to be able to change rapidly at the speed of business. So this is where the promise and the ideas of virtual SAN and virtual volumes help us align. Virtual volumes now allows us integration into the physical storage realm, the physical storage array, so that we can offload some of the virtualization tasks, like all of this cloning, all of these snapshots, all of this deduplication that needs to happen, and we can offload it down to the storage that there's been so much investment in. Additionally, rather than just always consuming physical storage, We can also leverage virtual SAN inside of the compute and direct attached storage to allow us other workload functionalities to attach to. This means that we're able to scale efficiently, and we're able to do so while still adhering to this idea of convergence in administration. It really is a brave new IT that we're headed toward, and one that's got to adapt very quickly to the ever-changing needs of business. And these are the promises that we're seeing by allowing Bob and Fred to work together as converged administrators, as opposed to just living in individual silos and consistently taking a bottom-up approach to the infrastructure.